right. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we get roll call, I'd like to acknowledge that our newest member, Glenn Carano, I'd like to welcome you to the board and give you 30 seconds just to say a few words.
30 seconds. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Glenn Carano. I know a lot of you. I've been on the board, I don't know how many times before, 3 or 4 times before. I replaced Phil Satry one time, and then I was on the board for the Eldros Waste downtown for a couple of times. I know a lot of you. Look forward to working with you and looking forward to helping you all take Reno Tahoe to new heights. And with that, I'll keep it 30 seconds.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. I learned from you. Anyway, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Alvarez?
Present.
Mr. Swaga?
Present.
Councilwoman Bybee? Here. Mr. Carano?
Here.
Mr. East?
Here.
Commissioner Hill? Here. Mr. J?
Present.
Mr. Long?
Here.
Chair Sheedy?
I think is she online?
She's on here.
Okay, we'll just know when she does come on. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, do we have any public comments at this point?
We do have one public comment today from Mr. Chris Mines.
Okay, great. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, thanks for having me. My name is Chris Minnis and I'm the producer of the Legion Sports Fest. It's an event I kind of wanted to reintroduce to you. We've put it on here at the Convention Center for 5 years. Before that, we were at Long Beach. We moved here in 2020, believe it or not, we put on this festival in 2020. We worked hard to make that very interesting year take place. The event is, it's growing every year and it's growing in part because of your support. We get the marketing contribution. We appreciate that. That helps us reach out well beyond Reno to much of our destination visitors, which make up about 75% of the event. At the event, we probably have 30 or 40 different countries represented. One of the biggest bodybuilding events in the world, and it also includes 10 other sports, making it fun for a lot of people. It also includes a large expo, seminars, things along those lines. The big change this year is previously we were in October. The Mr. Olympia, which is basically the bodybuilding Super Bowl, kept moving closer and closer to us, both geographically and by time. So we moved it to May 31st and June 1st this year. And I just want to invite all of you to please join us, spread the word. If you know sponsors, send them our way. And again, thank you for the support.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, anything else?
No other comment at this time.
Great, thank you very much. We'll move on to C consent items. Unless there's any need to change or pull items off, I'd like to entertain a motion for approval agenda for January 30th, 2025. Regular meetings of the Board of Directors and approval of the minutes for the December 19th, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Directors.
I'd like to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, can I have a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by John. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. D1, Reno Sparks Visitors and Visitors Authority Department updates. Mr. Largetta, please.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. J. Mike Larragetta for the record. First of all, on behalf of the RSCVA staff, we'd like to welcome Mr. Carano to the board. Great to have you. Appreciate your commitment to this board, and we look forward to working with you. Today, we will have 4 presentations, an update, I should say presentation, an update. One from myself, Courtney Jager will provide a finance update, John McGinnis from convention sales, and Mr. Jimenez on tourism sales. With that, I'll jump right into my update. First, as we usually do at every board meeting, we want to announce the Spotlight Award winner for the month of December. It is my pleasure to announce that December Spotlight Employee of the Month recipient is Maria Emirati. Maria, this is a quote from her supervisor, which I'd like to read. Maria Emirati, December Spotlight Employee of the Month, has been with the organization since June of 2022, when she stepped into the role of venue sales manager. In her time at the RSCVA, she has consistently achieved exceptional results, maintaining the highest sales conversion rate within her team at 41% in fiscal year 23 and 39% in fiscal year 24. Maria is directly responsible for contracting an impressive $7.4 million in sales. Beyond her sales achievements, Maria has demonstrated her commitment to professional growth and teamwork. She graduated from the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce Leadership Program last year and played an active role in assisting the marketing team by converting venue collateral into Spanish. Additionally, Maria has stepped up to support the venue sales events team whenever needed, showcasing her dedication to the RSCVA. A true leader and team player, Maria is also deeply involved in local networking, attending trade shows, and conducting daily site visits. She represents the RSCVA with excellence, making her well-deserving of this recognition. Executive Director of Venue Sales and Events, Renee McGinnis. Maria is on vacation this week, so she won't be here, but we will present the award tomorrow. So congratulations to Maria. On Wednesday, January 15th, the RSCVA held its annual holiday party at the El Dorado Hotel and Casino. They had over 150 staff and their guests enjoyed a festive evening with outstanding food, including the world famous mushroom ravioli, drinks, and giveaways. A special thank you to Vice Chair Mr. Richard J. for your participation and addressing the crowd and your kind words of support. Thank you very much. This Saturday, we will celebrate the 30th anniversary of the National Bowling Stadium as part of our monthly public bowling days. We have partnered with Junior Achievement. There's actually 2 sessions this year. The first section will be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and the second session will go from 2 to 4. Session 1, we have sold 66 of the 78 lanes, 50 being occupied by Junior Achievement. In the second session, we have sold 58 lanes. By far our biggest turnout that we have had since we started public bowling days a little over a year ago. We invite you to join us this Saturday at the National Bowling Stadium. Opening remarks will be around 10:30 on Saturday morning. We'll have a DJ, giveaways, cake, and it's all to celebrate the 30th anniversary. So hopefully you can join us.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Do you provide shoes and bowling balls?
So what we do, Mr. Carano, again, Mike Larry, again for the record, is we charge $50 per lane to 4 bowlers. That includes your time in the lane, that includes your obviously your balls and the shoes. And then anything above and beyond or covering our expenses goes back to the charity partner that we've identified in this particular event is Junior Achievement.
Thank you.
You bet. So we continue to do amazing murals in our facilities. This beautiful artwork was completed at the National Bowling Stadium in mid-January by local artist Bryce Chisholm. Bryce also painted the piece right behind me, right here in this boardroom. He does exceptional work, and to see it on the screen is great, but to see it in person is mind-blowing. It's amazing what he has done for us at the National Bowling Stadium. Little update on indoor track. We're just over halfway through the inaugural indoor track season. 5 of the 8 track meets have completed, generating north of 5,400 room nights. Just to let the board know, this is a very conservative number. And I say that from the standpoint is this number represents the number of athletes that actually participated in the meets. It does not account for family, friends, other spectators that came to the region. So we anticipate that number is probably about 80% of the total number that has been completed so far through the first 5 meets. There are 3 track meets remaining from February 1st through February 15th weekend. We're forecasting the remaining meets to conservatively produce just north of 6,000 room nights. So we will provide a complete recap in March at the end of the track season. We will go through room nights. We'll also provide a ballpark shot at economic impact, and then we'll also provide gate entry and the revenues that generated through ticket sales and concession sales as well. So we can recap year 1 in total.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Quick question, Mr. Lowe, can you, in that report, can you also just include an ROI on everything we've spent tracking, creating this great program? And I just want to say I was at the Atlantis for work, walking around with my son, and it was just filled with families, people walking in track outfits, and I didn't know that's what was happening. It was last weekend, and everywhere. I mean,
Right.
Up on the conference board, and we went over, snuck over, took a look for a little bit, and I mean, great job, great work.
Thank you.
It's really exciting.
Appreciate the support. Yeah, I attended the meeting on Saturday as well, and the convention center was packed. We had a car show, we had a hot tub show, We had the indoor track meet. We had a dance cheer group in. I mean, every single facility, hall and meeting room in the entire facility was occupied last week. And so kudos to the sales team and Renee and her team for accomplishing that. Awesome. So just following up a little bit, we thought this was some good information. Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry, Mr.
We talked about a way that we can more accurately track room nights associated with the event so that we can attach those that are coming as a result of the meet or the event.
Yeah, Shelley and I are really brainstorming on that. We wanted to get through the first season and get feedback from the teams and where they're staying and survey them and why. With the families as well, it's like, whether we do a survey upon point of entry, similar to what we do for United States Bowling Congress. So we will come up with a way to get more specific data. But in year one, we were kind of just letting it play out.
It just goes back to Eddie's point of, how. we're gonna
ROI.
track the ROI.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Appreciate the comment. Thank you. As I mentioned on the previous slide, we're seeing room nights materialize and we will see them increase year over year as we get more exposure into our track and field. One of the contributing factors that will result in more schools, athletes and coaches wanting to come to Reno is the track itself. Our track has established a reputation for being a fast track. This slide shows results that have materialized in the first four collegiate meets that we have hosted in Reno. As you can see, some of them obviously are the throws and this and that, but those, when you see number 1, number 8, number 9 for collegiate, University of Nevada, Division II and world rankings, that is for the entire country that we have set in the first year. So some very fast times. We, in speaking to Donnie Nelson yesterday, who runs the operational side of our tracks, he said, we have not even seen the best of the best in terms of athletes running on our track yet. We will set, as we have pledged in prior meetings, we will set NCAA records on this track. It's a fast track. So kudos to the team for putting that track together. Mr. Crum, yes, sir.
What's is there an opportunity for pro meets here?
There is. So we will host, we're in the process of bidding on what they call the Masters events, and those are professional events. We've also been in conversation with a few other partners that looking into doing like a celebrity event. We think that would be something that would be really cool and fun as well and drive a good participation from local and out-of-town visitation as well.
Right, real quick, we read about that tragedy last week at a meet where a spectator, lost her life. And I think it was a hammer throw in it. Any issues with our facility? Do we do hammer throws? We do
the hammer throw and the shot put. The throw area is located in Hall 5. It's very well protected in netting on both sides. And obviously we have a team over there and we have ESI who make sure that the facility is meeting all the standards and safety requirements. And obviously our safety manager as well is on site.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet. So a little update on the Wild Sheep Show, which we just hosted last week. Thank you again, Mr. J, for participating and providing comments at the press conference. This was the 48th annual convention and sporting expo in the 33rd year in Reno Tahoe. President and CEO, and I want to, who's pictured here, Greg Thornton, I want to quote him and what he said at the press conference is that Reno is home to Wild Sheep. This is where they want to be. This is where they've been. And this is where they want to be in the future. Right now, this past year, the show contracted rooms and that's what we go by, and Mr. McGinnis and his team, is we go out and establish contracts with the participating hotels. The Peppermill Host Hotel, thank you very much for your support, Mr. Swaga. They also have room blocks established at the GSR and the Atlantis. All 3 sold out. The contracted block was 3,590 rooms. They consumed 5,656 for the pickup reports that we received last week. So obviously, very important piece of business, great time of year, great demographic, a lot of disposable income. The amount of money that they generate during their auction is in the millions. Stephen probably knows better than I, but it's a great piece of business. We have them contracted through 2027, and we are negotiating right now to contract 28 and 29 as well. Also on the subject of Wild Sheep, another reason why I wanted to update the board in my update is that we've been in discussion with Gray and his team as it relates to working with this in terms of the indoor track. we had made a commitment to Wild Sheep that if their exhibit numbers grew, we would disable the track and then put it back up after Wild Sheep departed. As we went through year one, which is a learning curve, as we've all expressed over and over, of what the indoor track season represents, we quickly realized that taking the track down, we would lose anywhere from 5 to 6 weekends because of Wild Sheep. So we had preliminary discussions with Gray and his team. We came to a financial agreement, which truly is another example of the partnership that Wild Sheep has with Reno Tahoe. And they have agreed that they will not require us to take the track down anytime pre and post of their event. So the track will remain up in Hall 4. We did a workaround to Hall 5. This was the test year and everything went phenomenal. So it's a good track record, no pun intended.
I do want to, I
Yes.
appreciate you, Mike, working through that, because I think this group is, this is an outstanding piece of business for the area. Obviously, we're the host hotel on it, but it fits Reno well. It's a demographic that, you know, that's a visitor too, that doesn't just come for the show, but comes back is a guest.
Right.
But I give you credit though for making that work, because I think, and we all see, I think as beautiful as that track is, we don't want to be taking that thing apart if we don't have to. So I think making that work. I was gonna ask, similar to the track meets and doing an economic study, are we able to drill down on a group like Wild Sheep?
We are,
Okay,
absolutely, and we will do that. And I'm happy to bring that back to the February board meeting.
okay, great.
Thank you.
I know that their economic impact is bigger, it's bigger than sometimes you realize. I was at a local Friday night, and there's some people from the
Wow.
sheep show that came in, and, you know, I identified because they still have their tags on and everything, so
Yeah,
they, you know, chatted with them, they love the area, that, you know, it was just nothing but positive vibes from this group of people, so job well done to you and your
Thank you.
staff.
yeah, credit to the team. Thank you, I appreciate the comment.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
congratulations, Wild Sheep. How about Safari Club? They've left us for a number of years now, and if they found a home, or they have Dallas Safari, but if they found a home in Las Vegas, or where are they?
They're in Nashville, actually. I started getting for their, yeah, so they're currently in Nashville. I don't know the term of their agreement in Nashville. I know it's at least through 27. We actually had conversations with Gray and Mike from Wild Sheep. And there's a lot of moving parts. It's a bit of a puzzle, because when you have Dallas Safari Club and Wild Sheep, a lot of the same attendees, same exhibitors. And so you want to make sure that you make those flow together. And so when you look at Wild Sheep dates for the future, they're not consistent every year. They fluctuate, because we have to look at what Safari Club and Dallas Safari is doing as well. But to answer your question, I know they're in Nashville right now, Mr. Carano, and I don't know how long their term is, but we can find out.
You know, back when all this was taking place, them moving out and all that stuff, there was always a thought, and maybe Steve, you remember this, that about maybe somehow doing a Reno safari, because so much is coming from the Pacific Northwest.
Mhm.
And do they really want to go all the way down there and all the way over there?
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Or maybe we can start a new Reno safari.
Mr. McGinnis, you sound like you have a project on your hand.
Yeah, I saw him raise his hand.
Noted.
Okay, thank you for the comments. I appreciate it. My last slide is, I just want to update the board on initiative that the RSCVA participated in with RASC, which is Regional Air Service Corporation, and RTIA at the airport, working together to launch a marketing campaign with United Airlines. As this board knows, we appreciate that you gave us the autonomy and the authority to increase our air service development fund to $3 million. In our last RASC meeting, there was definitely a push from the members of the board that we needed to become more strategic and start utilizing these funds to ensure that we are, one, supporting the legacy carriers and maintaining existing routes, but also to establish a relationship as a partner with these carriers to hopefully use as opportunities to add new routes. So this campaign will be featured in this fiscal year with a possible commitment of next fiscal year. You can see the campaign dates are right around January 27th. It started a couple days ago and will run through March 31st. Financial commitment is a total budget of $300,000, which was $200,000 was allocated from the RSCVA and $100,000 from RASC. There are numerous media assets that we're utilizing for this campaign, but it is to really focus on East Coast hubs that are feeding into Chicago for the Reno flight, Chicago to Reno. United is the only legacy carrier that is currently running daily service year round from ORD. And we want to keep it and we want to expand in other markets with them. So any questions? That concludes my update today.
Great, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you, sir. With that, I will turn it over to Ms. Jager.
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Sorry, Charlene.
Good morning, Courtney Jager, Vice President of Finance. For the finance portion of this presentation, we wanted to give an update on mid-year room tax performance. So year to date, while taxable room revenues are down from the prior year, they are ahead of budget by 2.5%. We did overall expect a decrease in room tax revenues due to several factors, including the air races, the impact of an election year, and other influencing factors. And as you recall, during the last few years, we have seen ADRs climb steadily. So we did go into this year expecting those to level off and drop and normalize a bit. And in the next few slides, we'll go into more detail regarding room tax trends by tax district and tax segment. So here we have taxable room revenues by tax district. Overall decrease for Reno, Reno D having the largest percentage decrease at 10.5%, followed by Reno B at 4.8%. Washoe B is actually up 4.6% and Sparks is down 7.6%. So next, we're going to look more closely at average daily rates by segment. In total, average daily rates are down 3% from the prior year. And again, this is a decrease we expected. We saw record high ADRs that were steadily climbing the last few years. And we did expect this to be the year where we started to see those level off and normalize. By segment, vacation rentals are down 5.5% and hotels are down 3%. So here we have occupied rooms by segment. Overall, occupied rooms are down 1.5%. You can see this is largely driven by hotels, which are down 2.4%. Slightly offset by vacation rentals, which have a slight increase. Next, we have taxable room revenues by segment. All segments except vacation rentals have seen decreases, with hotels being the largest at 5.6%, contributing to that overall decrease in taxable room revenues of 4.6%. Next, I can turn it over to John McGinnis.
Any questions? Good job, thank you.
Good morning, John McGinnis, Vice President of Sales for the record. Some great numbers to talk about through the first 6 months for us in our fiscal year. 2023, 2024, we had 93 definite bookings that came through for just a little over 134,000 room nights. The 2024, 2025 fiscal year, we are already up about 30% at 128 definite bookings and just a little over 149,000 in room nights. Fantastic. Of the events that are booked, we are up 32%. As I mentioned, just a little over 30%. An interesting stat is the average booking window is down 109 days. That's a good thing and could be sometimes a little bad thing, but our team is absolutely on top of every lead that comes through. Meeting planners, executive directors of associations are pulling the trigger a lot faster on pieces of business. So they're making these decisions inside of a year. That's about 3.5 months down. So again, we are on it and we're making sure that all the leads that are coming through that we're securing business. The estimated attendees is naturally up 9.3% year over year. Requested rooms from the hotels is up 14% at 149,000 room nights. And our annual room night goal is 261, 122. And we are already at 57.2% of our goal. The lead room night breakdown, some interesting stats year over year. All the way to the left column, you see new business that has never been to the destination. In 2023-24, we had 241 leads that came through the pipeline for a total of 324,000 room nights. And the leads this year, we are up 296 and that brings about 280,000 room nights through the pipeline. Reintroduction, these are groups that haven't been here in at least 4+ years. 2023-24, there were 21 leads that came through. This year, we've doubled that, 46 leads at about 64,000 room nights. Repeat business, always got to keep repeat business happy and bring them back to the region. 64 of the leads in 2023-24 were repeat, and this year 72 leads came through, and that equated to about 140,000 room nights in the pipeline. Grand total 326 leads for 489, and this year here again total in totality at 414 leads, and just a hair under at 484,000. But going back to that, we are up in definite business that is booked, which means that we are securing the room nights that are coming through that pipeline, which is fantastic. New business, we'd like to just talk about the pieces of business that are 2,500 room nights or more. You have the National Rural Water Association, Key Communications, Professional Bowlers, PBA, and UCS Sprint Pole Vault Summit. 3 of those 4 have been to Reno, but just to note, Rural Water was here last in 2017, so it's been a while since they've been here. PBA last year in 2017 as well, coming back to us, and the Autoglass, which is actually Key Communications, is the name of their conference, but this is Autoglass, and they were last here in 2015. So always going back to those groups, trying to get them to come back. And as you are well aware, these groups do like to travel all over the United States. So it's great that they have kept us top of list, and our credit goes out to the team for just keeping those coals stoked with them so we can bring them back. So just a little over 12,000, almost 13,000 room nights of new business in just that time frame in the first 6 months. So
On
yes,
though, they're here annually, right?
yes, sir, they are. New business, or I'm sorry, going back to how we're getting that business through the pipeline. We attended IAEE, myself and Mr. Diomedes in Los Angeles, and then the team was in Houston this year for PCMA and put on a great event where the clients actually got to come in and make their own fragrance at a event that we did at Culture, a great little restaurant in downtown Houston. And then Holiday Showcase out in the Midwest. This is an annual event. Misty Sparks was out there with the Nuggets, Atlantis, and Peppermill all joining in those beautiful, ugly sweaters. So that is it for the convention updates.
John, quick question.
Yes, sir.
On slide 19, definite room nights, the 23-24 represents roughly 1444 nights. Then when we go to the next column, 24-25, that drops down to 1166. Anything to be concerned? Is it just not a 20% drop?
Yeah, I mean, it's the average room nights for those leads have gone down a little bit, but the pipeline's still strong. And third quarter, we're gonna have a really great third quarter as well. But for the first 6 months, we are still tracking ahead 15,000 room nights.
Okay.
So not too concerned.
So it's what's in the pipeline then?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you. Good job.
Super. Good morning. Good morning. For the record, Artie Manning's Executive Director of Sales. Good morning. And just wanted to provide a quick update on tourism sales room nights. And these are room nights that are everything that's not hotel direct for group or brand.com. Everything falls into this category. So in December, we tracked 51,000 room nights versus 48,000, 2,900 room nights more than last December. And then each channel was up compared to last year, except for OTAs, which were down just under 600 room nights. And fiscal year to date, the tourism sales channel is ahead of fiscal year 24 by 36,800 room nights. And as you can see that the OTA, motor coach, travel agent, and receptive operator segments are performing rather well ahead of last year. So this slide shows how December has performed over the last 4 years. As you can see, again, I mentioned that 2,907 room nights were ahead from last December. It just gives you a comparison of the 4-year trend, and this is the highest December since 2021. And this is a 4-year comparison, which also shows that fiscal year to date production across 4 years, and we're seeing nice growth in just about every channel through the first 6 months of the year. And again, fiscal year to date, we're up by 36,800 room nights. And this shows where we're at to goal. So again, we logged 372,816 room nights, and our goal was 327,000 room nights for this period, which is 45,600 room nights ahead of goal. Our year-to-date goal, our annual goal for this segment is 634,000 room nights, and right now we're sitting at almost 60% towards that goal already.
It's now another 6 months.
And we still have 6 months left. And then finally, just to recap, here's just a couple of screenshots of our current winter campaigns with our partners throughout the US and Mexico. That concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Any questions?
No question.
Yes, sir.
On that increase in travel agent, which is pretty substantial, it looked like 20%.
Yep.
What's driving it?
So that consists of, so we have 11 hotels that are reporting room nights. And then we take the entire county for GDS, Global Distribution System room nights, Sabre, Apollo, and so on. And that is primarily Susquehanna corporate travel, individual corporate travel, staying midweek. 90% of the arrivals are midweek in this channel. And this is at a much higher ADR as well. And the majority of these room nights are staying in our flagship select service properties. So it's a nice piece
I
of
think
business.
it's great. And I think, I know Mike has just joined the Enon board, I think there's really been a pickup of, there's a synergy there of Enon, obviously the chamber, but in RSCVA, I just think we don't always appreciate that, we always have our more of a strictly tourism hat, and I think there's a lot of business that's flowing through here that's either extending a day or two, or right, that the whole leisure discussion, but no, that's impressive.
I think we're seeing that too. We're seeing something that I don't think we've seen this before, but we have the chamber, RSCVA, airport, Edon, 4 individuals working together like never before. And I think we're starting to see, the benefits of that. And I think those, 4 leaders right there are really tuned in and working together toward a common goal. So
yeah, the communication is definitely increased. I was on a Zoom yesterday with the airport, and Mr. Griffin and Taylor and I talk almost daily. We made a commitment to go to Chicago in May to meet with United Airlines, myself, Mr. Adams, Mr. Griffin. And so to Mr. Slava's point, the 3 entities complement each other, right? And we all have a common goal of driving visitation and room nights and economic impact to Northern Nevada. So it's starting to work.
it's only going to get better. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? On your part, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, moving on. E1, review, discussion, and possible action regarding legislative priorities for the upcoming legislative session. Jesse, thank you. Good morning and welcome.
Morning, Vice Chair, board members, and Jesse Wadhams for the record, welcome, I'm Black and Wadhams, proudly representing you down in the Nevada legislature. Since we last talked, the legislature is now imminent. It begins Monday morning, and we'll begin rolling in earnest with committee hearings and such as early as next Tuesday. So just to begin, I'd like to give you guys the numbers, what we've gotten to now. We are at 986 BDRs. We have 287 pre-filed bills. We will see probably another, like I said, in previous meetings, another 700 to 800 bills out of those. And we will be done in June. So we'll be moving quick. By way of update with this board's priorities, we have a bill number now. It is AB 114, sponsored by Assemblyman DeLong here in Washoe County. I have been in touch with your legal counsel, Mr. Kennedy. It does appear that that will need a little bit of a minor technical amendment to make sure that we actually captured the true intent of the two concepts you guys have talked about. That is the all members electing members and new members to the board, and then all members being eligible to serve as chair of the board. It is not uncommon that things go into what those of us in the business affectionately call the legimatic, and things come back a little different. So again, not a crisis, looks like a little technical minor amendment, which we will deal with as we move forward. We are also tracking probably a number of bills with regard to things like open meeting law, public records, governance, issues for public bodies like yourselves. And obviously we'll be ready to monitor any as budget issues come up. My sort of prediction for this session, as not that anyone doesn't probably already guess this, but we're going to be in education, healthcare, and I think the budget's going to overlay because we don't have that level of federal money that we did in 2023. So those are probably the main themes of this session. Having done this for 20 years, I can tell you it will always be different. It will be unique. I'm here to answer any questions and provide any insight.
Yeah, Jesse, so of the BDRs that have been filed already and the pre-filed ones, are you seeing anything that jumps out at you that would affect us or that you know you're going to be tracking, or we still kind of early now, or did you see any?
It's still pretty early. You know, the BDRs give a broad sense of what's happening. It's really once you start to see those pre-filed bills, and then as the language comes out, you can start to get that better sense. Nothing gives me any massive, heartburn, or is that, hey, this is something we're really going to be delving into, save and except, of course, AB 114, which is your bill. That said, there is going to be stuff that comes up, stuff that obviously with regard to open meeting law, with regard to how you run your public meetings. I haven't seen anything so far that deals with, say, room tax or other items, but that does not mean it won't come. Again, we're still pretty early, but again, stay ready.
Okay, and another, Mr. Vice Chair.
Absolutely.
So on our bill, we have Assemblyman DeLong that's sponsoring. Do we need any co-sponsors, or do we have any legislators to cover both sides of the aisle, especially with the Democrats having that majority and Assemblyman DeLong being Republican? Do we have any Democratic support, either sponsors or support that we've reached out to?
We will start working with the Democratic majority to find some folks. Obviously, my priority would be the delegation here in Washoe County. So Assemblywoman LaRue Hatch, Senator Taylor, those folks to help shepherd that. But yes, we will certainly make outreach on that. Again, fortunately, this is a nonpartisan bill, right? It doesn't have any real political impact one way or the other. That doesn't mean that it won't find somewhere, but right now I'm not terribly concerned with, but we will work to shore up the delegation to understand what it does.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Great question. Any other questions?
Other than, we do have our government affair committee too, correct? That will, I'm assuming will strike. Is your chair, aren't you? Okay.
We're in good shape.
Looking to my, I don't know when our next meeting,
Legislative.
our legislative committee, we'll figure it out. Not scheduled yet. Okay.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. Great job. Good seeing you.
Absolutely.
And let's move on to item E2. Review, discussion, possible action regarding the Reno Event Center direct promotion and pursuit of concert events. Mr. Larragetta, you've got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. J. For the record, Mike Larragetta, President of RSCVA. As the board recalls, the last board meeting, we had this item on the agenda. The board requested us to go back, put together some data presentation process should the RSCVA take on the opportunity of getting into the concert event game. Director of Operations for the Reno Event Center, Joel Seidman, is going to give a very quick PowerPoint update. Please engage with us, questions you may have as we go through this. Again, just to reiterate to the board, this action item is a result of our commitment to activate our facilities as much as possible. And we feel that our responsibility is obviously to drive visitation and tourism and room nights to the region. And we feel that if there's an opportunity for us to bring additional entertainment and concerts to Reno, Tahoe, over the course of the fiscal year, that will meet those goals. So with that, I turn it over to Mr. Seidman to give an update.
Good morning and thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for having me here. For the record, Joel Seidman, Director of Operations for the Reno Event Center. And it's my pleasure to present this deck to you today. First slide, please. Okay, our vision is to revitalize the Reno Event Center as a hub for top-tier entertainment. CEO will evaluate booking opportunities with input from staff members. Purpose of this is to attract local audiences and neighboring states with diverse performances. The goals for attendance is to focus on diverse audiences, 3,000 to 7,000 attendees, promote easy access, parking, and exceptional concert experiences. Collaborate with groups visiting Reno to show, to offer show packages in conjunction with our hotel partners. This will better position us to be competitive with other venues in out-of-market areas and the possibility of increased suite sales within the event center. The strategy and execution of this was our first year, which we're now in our fiscal year, which we have till the end of June. We're looking to book 2 concerts. Next year, year 2, which 2026, we're looking to book 6 concerts. High production values to ensure unique experiences. We want everybody who comes to see our show to know that they've been to something special. Our genres: country, R&B, rock, comedy, symphony, Latin, Asian concerts, and more. Our artist appeal, we're in the middle, of course, in fact, we're almost finished with capital expenses with this, upgrading our dressing rooms and exclusive post-show amenities. These are very important for the experiences of the artists who come to see us and come to work with us, so they can pass on the good experience that they had with us to other performers. Production and budget, we have efficient loading areas and affordable labor. Performer budget up to $500,000 with flexibility for smaller acts. For marketing, we will hopefully announce entertainment opportunities via Polestar magazine. For those of you who do or do not know, Polestar is the Bible of concerts, of what's going on, the analytics, the ticket sales, and everybody reads it. And in fact, the Polestar show that was supposed to have been in February has been postponed till April, which I will be going to because, unfortunately, of the fires in LA. And we will also put out a press release to engage regional booking agencies to promote the new dynamics of the Reno Event Center. Excuse me. Here's an example of our different price levels. Just we have for Lindsay Sterling would have been 4 different price levels, and as you can see, $39.50 to $99.50. The total capacity, the selling capacity. Selling capacity can vary depending upon seat kills because of staging, artist comps, and things like that. And that's the total amount based on that ticket scaling. And we're right in there. You want to be in that sweet spot between $45 and $79. As you can see, it's positioned perfectly. Here's an example of going to something a little bit more extravagant. We have 7 different price levels here, ranging from $33 all the way up to $203.50. As you can see, the average seat price goes up, but this is an example of when we look to a higher scale performer. This is 2020 performance that we actually had, and this, I've given this a very important slide, and they actually did perform. And the out-of-market tickets, and the total amount of tickets, and the percentage of out-of-market tickets. And this was based on Ticketmaster sales. What we did is we extrapolated zip codes, and that's from 30 miles or more out. So as you can see, we did very well with out-of-market ticketing. And here's just an example of, we made this quite simple. There's quite a list of costs, but total expenses, here's an example of all the expenses, or most of them that we would incur on a $421,000, almost $422,000 of ticket sales, total expenses, and for profit, the different items that we keep, we're looking at $46,434.
Quick question, that ticket sales, that does not include concessions sold at the event, correct?
That's correct.
And rough ballpark, how much can we expect in concession sales? Is that big, small, medium?
Oh, it really depends upon the performer.
Okay.
Now, with concessions, we're also talking about merchandise sales, which we split. There's a pretty standard split in the business of 80-20. And there's also, depending upon who the performers are, there's some performers who have a larger bar sale. Okay. So on an act, on a performer that attracts large bar sales, you can have 70, 80,000. Merch sales could be 30,000.
Okay, so this is just ticket sales only, so there's an
Correct.
opportunity for even more theoretical profit.
Correct, there's also facility fees and there's other items.
Okay, great, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And so last slide, thank you.
Okay,
Actually, Joel, while you were on that last slide, we brought up facility fees, so basically though, we'd be paying a fee to ourselves.
No, we keep that fee, that's part.
That's with the promoter, that's with somebody running the show.
We keep the facility fee. As a rule, we never give up the facility fee.
But I mean, if we're buying the entertainment,
Mhm.
that changes, right? I mean, we're now the promoter.
Correct.
I don't know if I'm asking the right question. So
I know where you're coming
are we
from.
paying a facility fee to ourselves?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So in theory, that facility fee is,
We take the position of the promoter.
okay,
But it was listed in the, and so it would be, that would be the revenue, and I guess it would just be an offsetting expense,
Offsetting
right?
expense.
So, yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so did we demonstrate the expense in there, but not the revenue when we were in that situation? Or no?
what would the revenue, the facility fee be? $5 a ticket, so 30, so we're talking maybe less than $20,000.
Yeah, right, yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so let's do it this way. Why don't we just start at this end, just kind of move through the entire board, questions, comments, and see if you want to start it off.
Sure, and I know I wasn't at last board meeting when it first was brought up, and I appreciate Ben reading my comments, and honestly, it was more of a point when it went from a discussion item to an action item to say, hang on, can we just call a timeout real quick, because it is large dollars. And I also don't want that to be viewed as we're not supportive of filling our facilities or driving business. I think everybody on this board is here for a reason of driving tourism, but also being as smart as we can dollar wise, where we're not committing the organization into something, right, that we're regretting. And I think we've shown that with the air service fund, hiring certain positions, the list goes on. Tourism economics, all the different investments. I do get concerned, and again, I think Glenn's probably got more knowledge than anybody from a booking side. But the bit that I have been involved with it, I was just more wanting to raise a flag saying we need to go in eyes wide open as a board, that we could really get our head handed to us on a couple bad buys or bad shows. I will say, sitting through pre-board, I think Mike, you and Joel and your team, and I know there's a role for your executive committee of really screening the opportunities. I think I get more comfortable, and I also think the fact that you're looking at a limited amount of dates to where you're not forcing yourself trying to buy to fill every weekend or, you know, even once a month. I think all those things are mitigating the risk to a certain degree. You know, I'm open, I think if it's the appetite of the board, you know, I'm not gonna, I'm in support of it. I do think knowing it's a competitive area, right? The Nuggets come on with their outdoor venue, the Jays looking at theirs. GSR swinging way above their weight with the smaller theater, and now with a 10,000 seat arena coming on and possibly public subsidy dollars going to that, I think it makes it a very competitive space we're navigating. But the only thing I wanted to add, and I think it would be worth if we end up going down this path, is I think we should have some sort of post wrap up, whether it's with the finance committee or especially to look at how did the couple perform, and is this something we want to keep going after. But I think it was a well put together plan, Joel. Obviously you've been in that arena, so I look forward to the discussion.
You brought up a really good point, and I'd like Mr. Larragard to address on. There are certain periods of the year where we wouldn't really be promoting anything, i.e. summer, because all the other stuff going on out there. This would be kind of looking at seasonality when things might be a little bit lower. We were just trying to fill it. Can you expand on that, please?
Absolutely. So Mike Larragard for the record. So a few things. Yes, to Mr. Esquaga's comments, we have within staff and senior staff, we have vetted this process, right? We want to lower the liability and the risk as much as possible. So we will establish a committee chaired by myself that will include Courtney Jager from finance, John McGinnis from sales, Christina Ernie from marketing, Jose Martinez from operations, and Joel Seidman, obviously from the REC. We will look at it from each one of their particular areas, right? We look at the finance side, we look at potential room night sales, we look at the marketability, and then of course we will look at the operational side of what that looks like for that entertainer. And then based on that communication, those recommendations, it will come to me as a decision on whether to move forward with that bid as the CEO. As it relates to communication, we will make a commitment that we will be in constant communication on every opportunity with our major stakeholders in the community to ensure that we are not in this looking at this opportunity to be competing with our stakeholders. We're looking to complement, right? We're looking for opportunities, to your point, Mr. J, of identifying an artist and a genre that makes sense for the community, makes sense for the stakeholders in the casinos. And so we will be in communication with them to let them know that we're looking at this opportunity. We will look for obviously ticket commitments to lower, again, our liability and the risk. And the question about seasonality, yes, we are predominantly focusing on opportunities that would be appealing to an indoor venue, which right now in our market, prior to the opening of the arena at GSR, we do not have a venue that is providing concerts in a seat capacity above 2,700 seats. So we will focus on that 3,000 to 7,000 seat range. When we get into the outdoor season, we will be much more conservative as it relates to who we go after and why. Because even this last summer in this market, we all saw, and Mr. J can attest to this, there were 3 or 4 or 5 concerts going on the same weekend at different venues. And there's only so much market share to be had, right? In visitation. So we're conscious of that. And we don't want to get caught up into where there's a concert at the Nugget, there's a concert at the J, there's a concert at Hardee's, and there's another concert in someone's ballroom. We don't want to do that. This is to basically to complement finals holes, finals opportunities. We're driving new events and concerts for the region.
And it's safe to say that we're looking for quality versus quantity. I'd rather have 4, 5, 6 really high end than 10 and you know.
The good news is that the majority of our staff has hospitality, hotel, and gaming experience. So I think we have a really good idea of what is appealing and what is a good genre and attract a good demographic from a FIT and gaming perspective. And I think that helps.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, Greg?
Mike, you just kind of touched on a few of my concerns going in, you know, the competing against like the Big Caesars Entertainment, competing against some of our other stakeholders. Seems like those questions have been answered. I feel much more comfortable with it. I think that the Reno market has really suffered concert-wise since Lawler Event Center went offline on their venue for concerts back in the late eighties, early nineties. Went to some really big shows here in the region, Van Halen, Tom Petty, Crosby, Stills, Nash. And it really helps put Reno on the map when these big acts decide to play in your community. So I think filling that Reno Event Center would be a good thing for the whole region. So I'm for it.
Great, thank you very much. Councilwoman Biden?
Thank you. A couple of my concerns on the stakeholder conflict. I wanted to protect our stakeholders, Mr. Carano, Mr. J, Nugget, to make sure we aren't competing against them. That's really important to me. I guess, and I have confidence with Joel and his background. So I don't feel like we're walking into this not really knowing what we're doing or having his expertise and years in the entertainment industry is going to be valuable. So trusting him to guide us to what those acts will be and what numbers and statistics we're looking at on why we would book something and why we wouldn't. I have a lot of confidence in Joel on that. My concern is a little bit on the fiscal side of it. So we're looking at, and that helped when you gave like a breakdown, if we're putting out $500,000 for a concert and we're looking at year one, there's 2 concerts, that's $1 million. When we talk in pre-boards, you look at that 500,000 would come, and I guess this would be for Courtney, that would come out of our special event funding.
That is the current plan.
Which we have 500,000 per year. So we've only budgeted $500,000 in our budget for this year. I know we're probably going to be, I'm guessing, if we're looking at 6 concerts, that'd be $3 million. Will we be revisiting how much we need to put in that fund and on that 500,000? And Joel, those numbers help because if I look at the 500,000, what do we walk out with? Do we walk out with 46,000? Do we get some kind of profit or at least not in the red on the cost of that? Because if we spend, that 500,000 on the first concert and whatever we have left goes toward, I guess my question is, if we walk out of the first concert with 100,000 or 50,000, where does the other funding come for this fiscal year? We've only budgeted 500. So if we're down to 400 or 350, where does the money come from for us to be able to go after subsequent
Maybe I could speak to that.
concerts?
Councilman Biden, again, Mike Claire, for the record. So, and then Courtney and Joel can jump in here too. So in year one, because we did not have an established line item in our budget for this fiscal year for this opportunity, we do have the event development fund available, which we have not utilized or nominally utilized year to date. So we would utilize those funds for year one for those 2 concerts.
For the opportunity fund.
When we go through the budget process in March and April, we will, obviously revisit that opportunity and whether we obviously increase that fund within event development or whether we create a new line item with the budget for concerts and events at the RSC specific to that channel. It's important, I think, to share with the board is that when you look at an event and we bid, and let's say hypothetically, an example we used in the pre-boards was we go out to bid on Cyndi Lauper for $400,000 and that event is in 6 months. We're not writing a check at the time of the bid for that opportunity. We are at the time of consumption and the time of ticket sales and revenues that are being generated up to the actual date of the event. That's when you'll know where you stand in terms of your bottom line, your delta, right? So it's almost like a rolling fund per se. Yes, you want to be in a situation where you have the funds available to where you can bid on multiple events. So based on 6 events, is the number 3 million? We talked about this internally. I don't think so, because you're not going to have events stacked on top of each other, right? They're going to take place over the course of the year and actually materialize outside of the fiscal year that you may have budgeted those funds. So it will roll over. So we have to, when we go through the budget process, sit down and identify and make sure with Joel's guidance, what we're comfortable with in terms of the number to make sure that we have the opportunity to bid, but also not get ourselves into a financial crisis.
I appreciate that. So the 500,000 for this budget year is the opportunity fund.
That special event development, correct? Event development fund, correct?
Okay. And then I guess looking on top of that, and I say, and that was my next question, which you answered on rolling. So it would roll. within the year at least. I guess what I'd like, maybe Mike or Joel, to give me kind of an idea of the ROI on each event. The goal obviously is to bring entertainment, to bring bigger names here, bring people who might not have been here, or just to up the level of entertainment that we're offering in our venues, which I super, support. ROI, I'm looking at potential and then actual room nights, and then what the full economic impact of each event is, so that we know we're on the right track. We're not only not losing money, and to Mr. Squaga's point, if we have a big concert and then the pass is closed and a lot of our people coming in are trying to drive over a mountain that they can't get over, we take that as a risk we all know could be there, but looking at, and I'm sure you'll be doing the full room nights, economic impact for each event. So that'll kind of help guide us on what you reach out to next and how much money we can really put into another big event. Or are we getting our money's worth? A goal of increasing all of those.
Yeah, great point. So, again, Mike, there I got it for the record. As it relates to the RSCVA's, risk liability ROI, our goal per event is to break even. We break even, we are beyond happy. The ROI as it relates to what it represents for the region, and I agree with Mr. Squaga, our goal is not just to the finance committee, and not for every 2 or 3 events. I would like us to come back at the consumption of each event and provide the board an update. That will take into consideration ticket sales, out of market, room nights, ADR, if we can get it, economic impact. So we know what it meant to the community as a whole per event. And Joel obviously has been in this game for a long time, so he has a much better understanding and much more experience as it relates to what artists perform and why. We're gonna get better by going through the process, whether country artists perform better than rock and roll, or what's more appealing to a casino hotel versus a non-gaming hotel. What's gonna drive more FIT versus casino comm? So we'll go through that entire process to determine the ROI per event.
Okay, and I appreciate that. And at the end of the day, it's bringing, it's utilizing our facility to its fullest and raising that bar. And then really, at the end of the day, for us and for the community, it is the economic development and the room nights. It's the heads and beds that Mr. Murdoch talked about all the time, because that affects us directly.
And then one more comment, if I could, because you brought up a really good point, Ms. Bivey, is that we've talked about this internally as senior staff as well, and we deferred to Joel. We said, what happens in these scenarios? If we do get a storm, there's a concert scheduled for a Friday night and a storm comes in and people are not able to get here, the likelihood of that concert actually materialize because the performer can't get here either, or the trucks, or the equipment. So they would generally cancel and rebook. Tickets would be refunded. There would be no financial liability on our end.
Okay, is there insurance to cover those kinds of situations?
No,
I would
so-
guess there's the performer gets sick, or you've got a weather event. How is that covered?
So contractually, it's just listed under force majeure, and I went through this last year with two contras because the trucks couldn't get over the pass. So what happens is that performer, if their people can't get in here and their support can't get in here, they don't want to do it. They absolutely do not want to do it, especially if they know out of a 3,000 or 4,000 seat house, maybe 500 people are going to come. They don't want to do it. So what they'll do is you do a date that they have open, and as a rule, there's no deposit. Very, very few performers ask for a deposit. So nothing is lost. There's really nothing lost on anybody's end. So the hope is, you refund the ticket because it's on the ticket that this could be a possibility. You refund, people could want to refund, you can offer that, or you can offer to rebook when we know what the rebooking date is. So
Thank you.
yeah, it's really not uncommon, when you look at it, think about all the performers who were in stadiums and canceled 55,000 people. So it's the box office really bears the responsibility, but you hope that they're going to reschedule so people can get money.
Good question. Thank you. Mr. Carano, your turn.
Yeah, I appreciate all the dialogue here, and this organization's had a lot of history of doing these type of things. It goes all the way back to a gentleman that was City of Sparks manager, I believe, Jay Milligan, right? And Jay Milligan used to go out and get with all these stakeholders. Stephen's father, my father, former mayor, all the way, MGM at the old days. And we came together and brought huge entertainment to town. And that was, by the way, it was at Lawler, a lot was at Lawler. Then when we built the Reno Event Center, we built the Reno Event Center specifically for this. And as we did, again, the RSCVA CEO would go out and get ticket buy confirmations from all the different casinos to minimize and get a good base on the John Squaga, Stephen, you guys participated, Peppermint participated, still do. GSR, whatever it was called back then, everybody jumped in, participated. So, and by the way, when I looked at this this item here, I'm saying $500,000 isn't enough. We need $1 million. Just FYI, we got the Who. The Who walked out arena with like, I think 1.2 million. Elton John, we had Elton John, the Eagles, we had the Eagles both at Lawler and the Reno. So we've had so many fantastic acts. And the key is to get the community to participate, everybody to participate. And that'd be Mike and his team. Hey, I've got this opportunity to get this big act here. Can you jump in and buy tickets? And each property evaluates how much they can buy. The presentations have actually been pretty good. The Atlantis pulls up with their limousines, they bring up their shuttle buses. The Nugget, everybody jumps in, and it ends up being everybody puts it on their website, put it on their own individual websites, the properties. So it's marketing. It fills hotel rooms, brings casino high rollers to town. It drives ADR. It's really an opportunity for us to jump back in the game, and so I throw that in. Then, oh, by the way, when I should say, if and when the GSR opens their building out there, they're going to want us all to jump in the game with them too. I mean, if they're going to bring someone out there, I can tell you right now, the road needs to buy tickets. And so it's really an opportunity for Mike to actually bring this community together and make it happen. And the other thing it gives, it makes Reno relevant. It puts Reno, keeps Reno on the map. Look at who's playing in Reno. Who's playing in Reno? Well, I can't make it this weekend, but guess what? I might go up there next Wednesday because Reno's a cool place. It's a great place and we need to get back in the game. And last year, by the way, I think was a tough entertainment across the country. So the lake didn't have a great entertainment schedule. I don't think we had one that much here in Reno. And then the day, it's a good opportunity for this organization, and just doesn't have to be. Did anybody ever remember George Foreman? We brought George Foreman to town. Cassius Clay's fought here before. Joe Frazier. They've all been here. Well, now who's and MMA is a big deal too. It's a big ticket item. But in the end of the day, we're about room nights. We're about driving ADR. We're about marketing Reno. We're about keeping Reno tall on the map. So I'm a proponent.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Quick point of clarification, you mentioned real quick, and I just want to make sure. I talked about 500,000 is enough. Way the agenda is written, we can't change that $500,000 at this meeting, but it doesn't preclude us for next meeting or a meeting down the road to say, review that $500,000 and do we want to change it? So what we would be voting on today would be that 500,000 because it's in here, and checking with legal counsel, we have to stick with that 500,000. But you bring up some great comments. Thank you very much. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm with the rest of my colleagues. Had we done this previously?
Yeah, for the record, Mike Larigette, at one time, yes, the RSCVA did participate in taking risk on country.
What year was that?
This time I was deferred to Mr. Corona or Mr. Squaga at least 10 years ago, at least,
Okay.
if not more.
Well, your guy out here, Joe Kelly, that, and he used to go around to all and get ticket buys from every place
Yeah,
Okay,
and get commitments and then go out and do this. So we've put this together before and it's a great opportunity.
yes, and I just think the history, if we had that in the staff report for the future would be great, but I'm with the rest of my colleagues, I think it's worth, let's try this, I think it's very conservative, the way that you're looking at it, and I really appreciate you reporting back to the board on how it goes, but man, if we could get some of these artists under the arch, just, I don't know if we can build that into the contract, but great for Reno, just a thought, but yes, I'm with the rest of my colleagues.
Great, thank you, Mitch. Eddie?
Are we able to pull that presentation back up again? Cool.
Yeah.
If not, it's the slide 6, I believe, the out of market ticket sales. And I'll look on ours. So these are events that we have had at our REC,
that's correct.
but we haven't promoted these.
We did not.
And for those that are looking, I mean, the percentages of out of market ticket sales, almost on all of them except for Sesame Street Live, are well above 3/4, right? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, so what, again, they're gonna pull it up, so everybody can see it on the screen. But these numbers represent zip codes that were provided by Ticketmaster. And this is outside a 30-mile radius of Reno.
Okay. Outside of 30 miles, so conceptually, people could be returning, but we don't know that sweet spot. I mean, what's 30 miles? Mendon?
Carson, yeah,
Carson
just
City.
outside of Carson City.
Probably not that many people. Okay. More than likely, people are traveling a good distance and do we know the correlation of hotel nights with these events? Perhaps?
We do not, right? The assumption is, at a minimum of one night stay.
Yeah.
If they're coming for a concert in the weekend and it's outside of 30 miles, most likely a 2-night stay.
And I'm assuming the properties and some of the events that you all have, you guys tracking, if this is a successful mechanism to draw people to the hotel, stay at least one night, maybe more. Is that a fair assumption? Like beyond?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I believe most of these events are probably promoted by the road downtown and Soul Legacy. Really, these are great. Really, the reason why this is probably coming to Mike is to bring a bigger act, to get a little bigger. This is filling up hotel rooms, most likely at the Soul Legacy, at the row, but to really be in the market and drive and be able to put the Who out there into Northern California and on all of our websites. Mike's not talking about getting into this level. I think Jerry Seinfeld's probably a pretty good number there, but
I think it's important to just share with the board is that if you're looking at 2025 versus 2015 or 16, it's a different ballgame in this market, right? We have different ownership on the casino side. Databases have grown significantly. I mean, you go from the row being privately held to now publicly held as Season Entertainment. What Mr. Jacobs has done, their database, I mean, it's just the opportunity it's a much different game than we had 10 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I look at this and I'm impressed, and again, I'm making some vast assumptions that those percentages of out of market ticket sales are probably not necessarily coming from in that type of number from our rural portions on the outskirts, that these are individuals coming from over the hill or from Elko region or flying into town. And I know that a lot of events, the amount of traffic through lights is a big deal. And so more than likely, we have a lot of casino nights being filled. So I just, to me, that's tremendous. I guess the question I have is, based upon this, based on bigger events coming in and spending more money to bring in more tourism, are we working with the airport authority to figure out like places to market for nonstop flights into Reno and, that aren't at 6 a.m. in the morning, right? Like something that can bring people here then spend the night and enjoy Reno. I mean, has that conversation happened yet in terms of coordination with the?
So we're in constant communication, and Mike, for the record, we're in constant communication with the airport about opportunities as relates to airlift.
Okay.
Unfortunately, a lot of the times you're at the mercy of the airline. And when you're looking at penny markets, you know, in terms of like population, when you look at a Tucson or a Long Beach or a Spokane or Palm Springs, we just want to put ourselves in a position to where when an airline is looking at allocate an aircraft to one of those markets from somewhere, that we're on the top of that list.
I think too, and I'm not speaking for Christine, I know she's not here, but from a social media, I don't see so much doing a media buy into a market because we have direct air service for an act so much. Because we're probably gonna be playing a lot of those major markets too, but I think between the social media channels of the RSVA, and then I think all of our databases and for us to be talking to our guests saying Barry Seinfeld's coming in, or, you know, I would assume too, and I'm not trying to lead the question, Joel, but these relationships with promoters or the row, those still stay intact. You're still trying to bring in shows that we're not necessarily writing a check for. This is to really get after that. Maybe it's a little bit of a reach for a promoter that we're willing to take a little more risk, right? But a list like we'd like to see this list grow as well with third party, with the promoters coming in.
Sure, the promoters are gonna, they're still calling and they will always call. I can tell you the past 2 weeks have been fairly busy with submissions and holds. And so they will always call, but there are some times when they choose not to route our way. And that's when we can then step in and say, okay, well, we have these dates and these dates available. So let's do this on our own instead of waiting for somebody to come and offer. So, you know, not every submission works. It really is, it's a hit or miss. And one other thing that I would like to add to the out of market, there's, you know, our assumption too is that there's more than one person in the room. So there's 2 people to a room and they're coming, they're going to be spending money every day. So it's just not on the show itself that they're spending money. They're coming in, and if they are in at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, they're going to want to buy breakfast. They can't check in that early. You know, or they're going to want to go have dinner or have a drink after dinner. So there's more than one person to these rooms. So it really does add up to ancillary revenue.
That's great. I have one more separate question. You know, so I'm looking at this and do we have just Jerry Seinfeld? You know, there was 4,863 tickets. What was the capacity? Did we sell every ticket? And what do we do with like that delta? What happens? Is there a way to promote like, you know, if you're a Reno resident or a Sparks resident, have an ID discount on the ticket? Like, does that ever happen? Is that something that we can provide back to the community?
Well, when that happens is when the ticket sales don't go as anticipated.
Okay.
Now, I thought that was one of my first big shows when I got here. I felt that it probably underproduced a little just because of who Seinfeld is, but he had been here before.
Yeah.
So when that happens, the promoter, artist management, they'll get together with our ticket team, with our box office manager, Bev. I would go, listen, we want to discount some tickets. It's not sold. Any revenue is going to be good revenue with that at this point. That could be 2 to 3 weeks out. So there will be, because we really can't do anything unless everybody involved with the artist agrees. You know, it's just the way it goes. And so, yes, there will be a blast that will go out to locals. It could be a 2-for-1. It could be a $10 discount. It could be a $20 discount. But ticket sales are fairly rapid and they're selling out. You usually don't see it. But if it's light and they want a little boost, then you will.
Thanks.
Great explanation. John?
Yes, sir. I'm really appreciative of senior staff bringing this forward to us. I think I think it demonstrates that they look at opportunity differently than each of the different venues that we have, right? And all of the opportunities that we have, not just in our venue, but in our city. So it's, you know, whether it's MREs or it's, you know, airline sponsorship or whether it's capital improvements in some of our venues. I think this is the opportunity that makes the most sense for the
REC. I mean, I too, I saw my first concert at home, right? And we haven't had a, we asked that the REC was, as Mr. Crown pointed out, it was built for just that purpose, to replace Lawler. And I think there's opportunity to bring it back to the forefront with the purpose that it was intended. So, yeah. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Great presentation. It's exciting. So at this point, what I'd like to do is entertain a motion for the board. You know, we want to put in there the authorization to it with the amount not to exceed 500,000 per event. So
Mr. Vice Chair, I move to authorize the RSCVA President CEO to contract with artists for live performances at the Reno Event Center, either solely or in partnership with other promoters or as a direct promoter. I further move to establish the RSCVA President CEO's signature authority for such events at a maximum of $500,000 per event, and add any other stipulations or guidelines the board would like to establish.
great. I have a motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Just that staff captured that update and however that comes to the board as part of that additional stipulation.
Good point. Okay.
I think too, Richard, and again, just because I know it's being followed very closely. And Charlene somewhat teed up the question, but I think just to make clear for more of the public than anything, but this isn't Mike going out with a $500,000 check on every offer.
No.
This is really to give you the quick response and Joel the time, so you're not having to go to the next board meeting.
Correct.
30 days later, because these opportunities are quick, right? And you want to be able to have that authority to go, we've got the backing. But I mean, you at any given time, the next offer might be 280. You start getting ticket sales rolling in, you're never really outlaying. So I just need to clarify that we're not just out.
Yeah, it's up to, not to exceed. Doesn't mean it's going to be 500,000. So yes, great point.
But I think I'm all for it. So.
Okay, good. Now I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Congratulations. I think this is a great opportunity for us, and I think this is going to be a huge benefit for our community. So, okay, with that being said, board member announcements, reports, updates. I will give a quick update as far as the airport. Exciting news. 2024 Arno celebrated its busiest year since 2008 with passengers 4.8 million. That's a 6% increase from previous year. Record-breaking year in the rear view. We continue to see very strong growth in the first quarter of 2025. We're projecting 5% increase in seats available, 5% more seats. So that's good. Working with air services, keeping a contact, always looking out. Mike mentioned something about Chicago. That's going to be in May. So we'll be out there. I'll be attending that event with you. So, you know, always trying to get out there and promote. And bottom line, on behalf of RTAA, we want to thank the cooperation level we have with the RSCVA. So that's my report. Any other comments? Okay. Any comments from the floor?
No public comment at this time.
Okay, well, with that being said, the time is 11:23 and this